What is going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome into the pre-market live stream. Apologies for the no video and all that because I'm on my MacBook and I'm hoping that the stream quality is going to be okay. So I'm just, kind of streaming from my MacBook right now because I'm not at home, but that's all good. I hope you guys are having a good morning as usual. And I wanted to go over the market conditions. Pretty much, everything that we discussed is playing out. So I wanted to give you an update on Wednesday to check in with you guys on the kind of scenarios that we spoke about and what we were looking at from last week upon the breakout, which was right there, right? Let me make this thinner actually. The breakout, which was right here on last week's live stream, is what we discussed. And we had two scenarios planned for that. The first scenario was a further break up and then hitting 5189, 5190, and then rejecting back down. And then the plan here was to capitalize on this bounce that it's going to come back for a much further bullish extension, right? That was the plan here. So right now, I think, a lot of people would be like, oh, so then why didn't you short it up here, right? So that you can make a quick buck on the way down, right? Well, that is a possible scenario, but in today's day trading session, if you are going to be playing this move, understand that the risk to reward ratio is stacked against you, okay? So if you are taking a position, it has to be a scalp, and it has to be a directional scalp. And in the next 30 minutes, you have to see the S&P 500 continue its move, right? All the way back down into 5140 or so, right? That's your support level, right? From your previous breakout level, right? 5140, this area here is a very important area. So once we come back here and we bounce, that will be my confirmation to potentially go further long, okay? And now the thing is, this could happen quickly or it could take a really long time. The two scenarios only, right? The first way is it bounces, grabs liquidity, like a kind of a flash sale, grab liquidity and then run. Or it could be a slow demolition down, slow demolition a little sideways, and then, back to accumulation and then markup, right? So understand the market phases here, understand which part of the phase you're in. You're in the distributive phase right now. It needs to go into another accumulation phase before we see another distribution or another accumulation. Mark down from here. So be aware of this. I'm more curious and more seated to take this bounce here when it comes down. That's what I really want to take. And there are a couple of reasons behind my thesis. So first of all, let's have a look at this report. Let's see how you guys are doing. Good morning, guys. If you're in here, I want to know who's in here, actually. Give a quick shout on the chat. I want to know who's here so that I can say hi to you all. But, okay, very quickly, going to head on into the Discord here and look at the research reports tab, which is for our premium members. Here's some stats about the earnings. Now, ignore Tommy Lee's overall very bullish tone, okay, because he's like forever bull. But this is Tommy Lee. And just look at the information. That's what I like to do, right? Just leave the bias out. So overall good earnings season, 80% companies beating, but were more muted equity reaction. Key takeaways are: first, earnings beat strong enough to raise second quarter EPS as well as full year EPS. This is the first time since 2021 that quarterly earning estimates have revised higher by 0.5% in the first month of the quarter, Q2 of 2024, and this was the last case. This was the case in 2021. Okay, and then secondly, there is enough EPS momentum sector reversals to drive acceleration of EPS year-over-year growth through the rest of 2024, blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever, right? There's all the other stuff that he puts in there. But this is informational, right? This is really important to me as a trader. I want to know this information because I think the risk appetite right now is starting to come back. People are starting to realize that, okay, you know what? Maybe the market corrected a bit. you know, things are over, right? We had this big little do and it was priced in, and now we're pricing the other way, right? We're trying to break out. So now if you get into the 4-hour chart here, is really nice, right? The story's starting to build, right? Remember, you are going to have your elections sometime down the line, which is going to be in November, which is here, so it's still quite far away. But till the elections, right, you can already see right now the S&P 500 on the daily time frame has broken out of a pennant and is now going for a retest for validation, right? And obviously more refined on the 4-hour, which is, you know, we're discussing TA and macro, both fundamental and technical analysis here. So this is usually how thorough I get when I'm discussing these things. I hope that you guys enjoy these live streams as much as I like doing them. So for those of you that are listening to my voice, good morning to you. Hello. Santosh, what's up, man? How are you doing? Richard, hey, how's it going, man? Anthony, great day to wake up this fine morning. Where are you from, man, Anthony? Okay, now moving on. The scenario for the plan that we have played out still stays the same, right? I've already drawn out the potential plans here, so that's really, you know, easy to follow. Now, how it's going to play out is going to be another thing. There will be a couple of different scenarios. So if there are updates, I'll post them on the Discord. And I will make sure that I will come back on next Monday to do another stream to update you guys, okay? Now, let's look at the NASDAQ real quick. So NASDAQ is in a much different setup here, right? Look at the setup on the NASDAQ here, okay? This gray zone is what we call a dual zone, right? It's a dual zone. The reason why it's a dual zone is because it's both a zone of demand, right? It's both the zone of demand. Anytime price action comes in this zone, there's demand. And it has been also a source of supply. You can see that it was also a sell zone in these areas here. So now the interesting thing is we don't want to have a bias about direction. What we do care about is that we know that in this zone here, there's increased amount of action. Okay, overall volume is higher. That's the only thing that we care about. And when we know that overall volume is higher, that's an important piece of information, because now you can understand that at these levels there are that could be reversals that occur, and then it's your job to you know, notify or to get yourself to understand how to find those reversals, right? And some of them they stick out like sore thumbs, right? Like look at this pin bar, right? You have another kind of consecutive bullish candles with a very big liquidity sweep here, right? And then another like tweezer pattern here, another doji followed by a bullish engulfing. So you have all of these patterns. Anyway, my point is, as the NASDAQ comes down here, it's going to start to find some support in this area more than likely. And that support is higher than of the scenario within the S&P 500, right? If you look at it. You see that? So the area that SPX would have to come down to would be this area in order to achieve the same effect as NASDAQ, is what I'm trying to say, right? Which would be the previous high here, right? But we are expecting a bounce here. So we have to adjust our bias and say we need to go at least till here to find demand, right? And so that's how you correlate things, right? Okay, it's a bit higher here. How am I going to adjust and compensate for that movement? Because it's not the same chart, guys, right? It's not the same chart. Look at the breakout levels here in NASDAQ, and for SPX it's here, right? So it's a different chart altogether. Let's see, Alabama, nice. I have never been to Alabama before. What is Alabama known for? Okay, now I have some setups for you guys, obviously, as usual. If you are attending this live stream regularly, I would say I have probably contributed to a fair bit of your wealth. Did anybody play NEE, by the way? You know how we were talking about it the last time we spoke? I mean, this is pretty much 2 weeks before this only. So anybody who's here who's been listening to the live stream long enough, we spoke about the rotation within utilities, and look at that sector. Just look at that sector, right? Straight shoot up, right? NEE yesterday. I closed out majority of my position just to show you guys. Swing trades. Wait, hold up. No. Did I post it here? I might have posted it here. Yeah, there we go. I had 70 contracts. I've kept 10 runners, but 164% on that whole play, right? And I obviously there was no reason for me to sell, right? It kept going up day after day after day after day, right? It had correction days in between, obviously, which were very normal. Didn't break structure ever. It just climbed up, right? This is as straightforward trade as it could be. I've left 10 runners, which are not even a significant amount, to let them just go, right? So that's one play that if you've been following the live stream, I wonder if any of you, you know, take that trade. Did anyone take an EE at all? I would like to know. Would be great if you told me. I would love to know. Now with PDD, this is another setup that we've been looking at. China has been coming out of the woodworks a little bit, right? And so we had two plans here, remember? We spoke about this probably before, so I'm highlighting the trade idea again, which was a breakout. It had a very nice breakout here, gap up, and you know, breakaway gap came up here, rejected, and it's still showing continued signs of rejection, which is nice. Now we had two plans. Let's get into the 1 hour. The two plans were either first come down, bounce around this area at 137, and then, you know, try and get higher here into the 23.6 extension at 146. And then second scenario was just come back down, break down completely first, and then come back to retest 137, and that's your short entry, right? So either long entry here upon a strong bounce, or a short entry here, right, with a strong fade. That was what we were looking at. And right now, it's just stuck. So this is on hold. A trade idea that's on hold, okay? You're waiting. You're waiting for something to give here. Actually, let me just adjust these here so that's easier. So on hold, ZS, this is another one. I really like this setup, right? And this is a perfect scenario if it's trading downward, right? You can play the longs as long as this level holds. If you break below this level, wait for it to validate this level as further supply, and then you can take your further short position. Remember that in this area, there is a lot of demand coming in. So increased support, pressure from bulls in this area. There's probably a bullish order block of some kind over in that area, right? So be aware of this area, really careful. Another one that I like, snow. It's showing signs of a potential reversal, but I also feel like it just faked out right here. So if you look at this pattern, just from a TA standpoint, right? Looked like the perfect inverse head and shoulder, right? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline, right? It hasn't broken out of the neckline yet, so it's going for another potential ding-dong back down to 152, 153, and then to figure out what it wants to do, but I definitely don't want to short it here. The risk-reward ratio sucks, right? So once again, on hold, right? There's so many setups right now that are just on hold. Another one, Walmart. This is a nice one, right? Yesterday, falling wedge breakout. Now, what do you do over here? You wait for the retest, right? And the retest is actually not far away. I think it has already retested, in fact. If I look at the 1 hour chart, it makes more sense. This is actually more of a great setup to play intraday if it can break above 61 or so. Yeah, 61. It has to break 61. But you could play the potential break. I mean, there will be some gamma that you could play here, potentially. But the problem is that it's just a $1 move, so you're not going to make a lot of money. That's the issue. The options contracts are going to price it that way. So, but you can totally take this as a swing trade once it retraces back down and maybe forms a channel in this area. This area does seem to be a slightly higher than usual volume area. Now, moving on to Tesla, which I know you guys are just probably wondering what the heck is going on with that one. I'm with you. I totally do not know what the fuck is going on with this shit, okay? Because honestly, at this point, it's reading Tesla price action TA wise is like reading tea in the bottom of a cup. You know, like you're drinking tea, you drink it, it's over, and you look at the bottom, you see some tea leaves, you're like, Today, I'm going to have a really nice poo-poo, and at the same time, Tesla's going to go up. Like this, you can do that. It's probably better. Um, let's see. I missed that one. Didn't like the spread on my contract. Okay. I took small profits on it. Okay, cool. Didn't Civil Rights Institute and anything Southern. Oh, okay, cool. Nice. Oh, that's cool. Okay. It's different news story and moving Tesla every day. Yes, I completely agree, guys. Okay, anyway, just for the sake of covering it so that you guys can do this in the best way, when so many gaps appear like this, honestly, I'm more inclined to look at this with Heiken Aishi because it's just gonna be simpler on my eyes, and then you have the average of the past 6 candlesticks. So use a 1 hour chart. Don't go into the 4 hour chart because you could get some false signals there. But essentially, when you look at this way and then you put volume on instead, you get a much clearer picture on price action, pure price action. Make sure you change the volume to around like 200 so you get some really refined volume nodes rather than blocky BS, right? So if you zoom in a little bit here, let the volume nodes adjust, you'll see that there is a big support below us right here where Tesla is opening right now. And that's the reason why if I were to probably go into extended hours, it probably is trying to find support here right now, right? This is extended hours. So today you could get a pretty strong bounce off this level, and that could lead to a bullish retracement, right, on Tesla. I would prefer that play, obviously. I wouldn't prefer the downside further slam down because then that means that your price you can't get in on the put action without paying high premiums, right? There's very high chances the people with a lot of puts here already. Okay, so you gotta start thinking of how to play offensive on the bull side and take the bullish pops that come along with this. And right now, you need to wait till during market hours and see how that goes. I will be inclined to definitely take a bullish position here instead intraday to try and play this. But let's see. So with Tesla, that would be my plan. Bullish pop after all the selling is done and try to catch a reversal. That would be the best idea. Wait for the reversal. NVDA, we've been seeing insane flow on this for the past couple of days, honestly. It's wonder how much of resilience this stock has to even form a minor correction. But some interesting information. Open interest changes for NVIDIA this morning. I'm going to cover them. This is part of our premium offerings on the Discord. So every morning, our research analyst puts together a bunch of data for you. So we have open interest changes across options chain, a list of them, the most open interest changes, and then in terms of what sectors they're in, etc., high beta, low beta, but mostly just in terms of thousands of open interest changes. On NVIDIA, you can see here there's some clear bid action and then there's clear ask action. So on the red that you see, those are bid side and green are ask side. So what are people buying? They're on the ask side. What are they buying? 1150 calls. They sold that. Okay, minus 9,000. You can see the open interest change. So they took profits on the 1150s. What did they do with the profits? Right. This was a 531 contract. Right. And you got to find a very similar position to pair this with, right? You can see if here it's quite straightforward. This is a roll right here, right? You see, from 1 week expiry to the next week expiry, right? But a different strike altogether. So that's a roll. And then for the top one over here, you can try and find a pair, but mostly people have been buying calls, right? You can see quite a big amount of 1,550s, 1,500 open interest changes. 1650 as well for the strikes, mostly expiring this week, right? And Tesla's currently, NVIDIA is currently trading at $895. So these are really short time frame contracts, which I cannot for the life of me understand why someone would have bought that, but because of the explosive move and the gamma acceleration, they probably made a lot of money on these already, right? So on the bid side, you have these that are sold. There's a fair amount of mixed action here. Now, there, like I have looked at this for the past couple of sessions, and it's still very, very mixed, right? You'll see a very interesting kind of a setup when certain ones will come out, and I'll show you. See, like this one, right? Look at this one, Caesar Entertainment, right? Very clear calls being bought, right? $40 calls for September on the ask side, 88%. I like stuff like this, right? At the same time, what's going on? They're selling some puts. Look at this on the bid side, right? 29 puts. They're also selling some 3650 calls against some positions, but general open interest change is kind of low. So the most important one is the first one, which is 920 $40 call. So this will now turn into a trade idea, right? Can it work with our trade plan? And the way you do that is just simply look at CZR, right? And then see what's going on. What is everybody looking at here, right? Okay, so obviously everyone is looking at a potential bullish bounce off a very key level, right? There's actually a couple key levels. So you have one here, and you have another one pretty much here, right? This box here is like a very important space because this is where the most amount of bounces have occurred pretty much. And price action is currently sitting at the top of this box. So expect a little bit of a move further down. So this is going to be like almost like a long-term swing trade. And what are you looking at when you're looking at the open interest changes there? Here, you're looking at people pre-entering $40 calls for September on this downward descent here. So this is institutions already starting to position itself, okay? And this is only like 3,000 contracts, 3,446 contracts. So this is like a starter position, okay? So we will have to wait and see whether we get a confirmation, right? Here so far, no confirmation, nothing, right? This is too short, too little information, even if you look at this. So we're waiting to see if you go lower or higher than this, right? And right now, obviously you don't want to trade it where it is. And then you have pretty much in this area, another supply area. So you'll wait to see if this goes further down. But when it bounces out of here is where you can start entering these calls, right? The $40 calls for September 20th. Then you'll see a nice energy to your returns because a whale will already be in that position. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. NVDA, Moderna. Moderna is a really nice setup too. Broke out and is retesting now out of this downward channel. You might want to keep an eye on this one. And Amazon, not really that worth discussing. Now, 10-year yield came down a little bit, bouncing today. So let's see what happens there. I don't think it would be much of a crazy bounce, but let's obviously keep tracking it. IWM still ranging in this area. I expect it to keep ranging until interest rate issues are more subtle. DXY, nice pin bar on the daily, bouncing from that level, probably heading higher in the future, right? VIX still come down, etc. Now, when VIX spikes up like this, by the way, guys, it has a tendency to spike multiple times during this. So when volatility increases, it increases for a while. It's like a shock wave. You see that? So it can go like up and then down and then up again and then down again. So that's literally the nature of volatility. So keep an eye on price action in the S&P 500. You have the bullish bearish plans. Stay safe. Don't be stupid and take unnecessary risk as usual, right? And yeah, I hope you guys have a great trading session. I hope this live stream was interesting, entertaining, or informational enough. Let's see. It's like a different news story moving Tesla every day. EGA 10 off valid today. Hey, Mark, message me on Discord. I'll give you a 30% off lifetime, bro. You're one of the homies. You know what I mean? You've been there since the beginning, and I really, truly appreciate that, dude. I missed that one. George, it's all good, man. But yeah, everyone else, thank you so much for attending the live stream. I appreciate it. You know, I know how difficult it is, like, sitting here listening to all this stuff, but, like, If you really take away the stuff that is discussed, I think there's a lot of money to be made in this collective mindset. And bouncing off ideas from one another and things like that is the best way to learn, in my opinion. So if you can leave a like behind, I truly would appreciate that. Yeah, no worries. Mark, you message me on Discord though, because I need a. I don't think you're in our server, so I don't know how to message you. I'll sort you out. But yeah, rest of you, I'll see y'all back on Monday. Have a great one. Be safe and take care, guys.